direct sales doesn't work for us. And I don't think you need to do it to be successful. We've built a nice, healthy, profitable, growing business without it.
You have to remind yourself that there are people that are using your product or your service that need you to show up. Welcome to Revenue Rascals, where we break the rules of growth and talk to the rebels rewriting the playbook. In this episode, I sit down with Josh Haynam, the CEO and co-founder of Interact, the quiz software that's powered over 100 million leads. Josh shares his journey from selling his first media company as a college student to building one of the most successful lead gen platforms online, and the surprising lessons he's learned about simplicity, psychology, and resilience along the way. We dive into how AI is transforming quiz creation, why the best quizzes today are simple and utility-based, and what most founders get wrong about understanding human behavior. Plus, Josh opens up about losing a massive portion of Interact's customers in 2020 and how focusing on customer success and referrals became the comeback story of a lifetime to 8,000 active paid users. If you've ever wondered what really works in lead generation in 2025 or how to build something that lasts when everything else is changing, this episode is your blueprint. Tune in to this episode of Revenue Rascals and get ready to rethink everything you know about lead generation. Josh, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on Revenue Rascals. And so I was doing some research before I started to record. And I found something really interesting about you, that you, back in, I think it was 2012, if I'm remembering correctly, you had a entrepreneur's story. It was called Entrepreneur Story, and you were sharing stories of entrepreneurs, and then it was actually purchased. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is at that same time period, which is why it's like driving me like absolutely bananas. I couldn't even believe it. I did not sell it, but I created something called Cocktail Talk back in the day. And it was my first attempt at like a media channel. And I was trying to make like all of the real popular things in politics, like easy to digest and be non-biased and just relay the information. So if you went to a cocktail party, you could actually sound smart. So that was what my idea was. But at that time, I just didn't have the legs. I didn't really understand what I was doing. And so it ended up kind of flopping. But you sold yours, which is so exciting. So we're going to kick off talking about, like, I think that was your second business, because I think your business before that was an e-com brand. But I want to talk about Entrepreneur Story for like 45 seconds and how the heck you had it for 6 months and sold it.
Yeah, I loved that business. I was at UCLA. I wanted to start a new company. That was my third company, actually. My first one, landscaping. Second one, used electronics, e-com-ish. And then that was the third one. First foray into media, I wanted to learn. I love learning from people. I still listen to like a ton of podcasts where people do long form interviews. Basically, I just started reaching out to people to interview them. I heard back from a lot of interesting people. Most of them didn't agree to do the interviews, but they emailed me, which was cool. And I ran it for 6 months and then just sold it. It was just a media site. And that kind of kicked off what became Interact.
So who did you sell it to? And did you have to reach out to people to sell it, or did somebody come to you?
No, somebody bought it. There was a VC out of London, I think. And they just wanted like a media presence. I guess that's kind of popular now. Like big companies are buying like media brands. But it was just like a small version of that. It was nothing to really write home about in terms of like a sale price, but it was cool to realize like, hey, you can build something that people want and then they'll buy it from you.
Oh, I love it. All right. So then great. So that rolled into Interact. And why don't you tell our audience right now what Interact is and what gave you the idea to start that as, am I counting right? Is that the fifth business, Interact?
Yeah. I think that's number 5. Yeah.
I love this. I love it. Okay. Talk to us, Josh.
Yeah. So it's a quiz software, and really what a quiz is, it's like a question and answer tree that helps people self-guide to the right solution within your business. So the right product, the right solution, the right service, whatever it may be. And then it also collects leads for you. So like prime example right now is there's a lot of medical spas. That's a very, very popular industry right now where you can do injectables and things like that. A lot of them are using our product to do service recommendation quizzes because a lot of people know about medical spas. They don't necessarily know what the services are. So you answer a few questions. I want my lips to be fuller. I want my face, whatever. And then you get your service recommendation. You can book it right there on the spot. And then you can also join their email list as part of the quiz. And then Interact integrates directly with all the email softwares. So it's a nice way to build up your email list for the longer term. And that's kind of what the product is. Very simple on the surface, extremely difficult to build on the back end, which is why we have stayed the leader in this space for almost 13 years now.
Yeah, Josh, I have been using your platform for either myself or clients for literally as long as I can remember. I did a quiz on personality selling back in the day when I was doing a lot more of like just a generic sales coaching. And you're absolutely right. It's actually really difficult to create the quiz, then the flow, keep the engagement. Like I can only imagine what's going on in the back end. But the reason why I reached out to you and like so happy you're here is when I popped back in recently, it's been a little while since I've used the platform. I went to go build a quiz and I used your AI tool and my head about exploded. I could not even believe it went from like having to hire someone to help you write your quiz or spending 5 days trying to figure out what it to be to it did a great job. I barely gave it anything. And in 2 minutes, my quiz was built. So talk to me a little bit about that AI tool and how it's really transforming the speed to get these quizzes out the door.
That was a fun project, honestly. Starting right when ChatGPT dropped, November of 2022, I started reading a ton of technical papers for probably 9 months. I was just reading technical papers, everything I could get my hands on. Really fascinating to learn the underpinnings of how ChatGPT is built, how other AIs are built. They're all built on the same database and data sets, which is why they're all kind of the same now. But what came out was one of the massive pieces, like a weirdly large piece of how all of those models are built and still today how they work is this Stanford question and answer data set, where it basically took a bunch of Wikipedia articles and took questions out of them. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, that's going to be perfect because that's basically a quiz. And if so much of what AI is built on is essentially quizzes, then it's going to be perfect for helping our customers create quizzes. So we went from there. And then the main premise of our AI is that it pulls everything from your website, everything from your information, because it's really garbage on its own. But if you take in your stuff and then use that AI, then it can spit back out a great quiz. So it took about 2.5 years to fully develop that AI, and there's still more to be done there. But it did replace that layer of people that was hiring out people to write their quizzes. Huge shift in the market. No one really does that anymore. And no one really hires anybody to write anything right now, which I think is probably a little bit overkill. But there was such a dramatic shift when everybody was just like, oh, I don't need writers anymore. And that really was tough on our business. So then we built the AI to replace that and now be the writing assistant for you.
Yeah. And I think what's most exciting for me as somebody who's using the platform is that like I can create multiple versions. Cause I remember when I created one like a long time ago, it was so much work to actually create it that I'm like, I'm just going to keep changing the title until people opt in because it was so much work. But now it's like A/B testing like that. So fast. And so for me, I think as a user, that is like definitely why I'm so excited about it. And me as a consultant, like I'm not writing all these quizzes just for myself, right? It's part of my CRO strategy. So people don't hire me to write, but they hire me to create revenue engines. And part of that is lead gen, right? So instead of me having to outsource to somebody to write, now I can just go in there in 5 minutes or somebody on my team and do it. So I find that so incredibly powerful, especially that it can read websites because I don't have to like keep training it differently. It's just like website, website. So as a user, I'm really appreciating it. And my jaw dropped. I wish I had like my camera going when I logged in because it was so different from last time I was in there. So great job, Josh. Okay. So I want to talk about lead gen right now. Now, everyone's talking about lead fatigue, too many funnels, too much noise, all these things. But at the end of the day, there's still people making a ton of money and they're generating leads. Like, I don't like the whole naysayer thing. So instead of saying it's fatigue, like, okay, so how do we play the game? What do we shift? So can you share with my audience right now, like what is working fundamentally in the style of quizzes that are A, generating leads, and 2, actually selling something to them at the end?
Yep. It's simplified everything. Everything's simplified. And simplified, I think, is kind of like the emperor with no clothes thing. Like, if your stuff is simple, you cannot hide if you don't know what you're talking about. And so that's what's really, 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 really shifted in the last 4 years. There used to be these kind of complicated, nebulous, who even knows what this quiz is about quizzes, and they would generate leads just because I think people were bored on the internet. But nobody's bored on the internet anymore. Everybody is holding on to their money like it's their last dollar, and if they lose it, then they will be broke forever. Like, that is generally the economic sentiment right now. And nobody's going to give you their money if your quiz, they're not even sure what's going on. So the ones that are working really well are just like super straightforward. Like, the one that pops in my head first is, it's like a visibility archetype from Jamie C. Jamie's a business coach and visibility coach. And it's just like 4 archetypes. There's a framework behind it. And then it's 5 questions. And the archetypes are like really spot on. Almost everybody who takes that quiz is like, wow, that's really accurate. But they only had to answer 5 questions. And the 5 questions are nothing crazy. They're not like paragraphs of text. They're very short. And so the value to investment ratio is totally different. You get way more value without having to invest hardly anything in taking the quiz. That's what works. And even if your quiz is longer, it's the same thing. Like, the quiz experience itself is valuable. Like, the questions themselves are making you think in a way that's valuable to you. And it's such a dramatic shift. Like, we have gone from this world of like BuzzFeed fun quiz to like pure utility. This quiz is meant to help you solve a problem or get something that you want in your life. And it's doing that through the entire process. Every part of it is so obvious how this is helping you. But even though that sounds simple on the surface, it's like the absolute hardest thing to do, especially when you get very few words to convince somebody that you know what you're talking about and that you can be helpful to them.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? Who doesn't want to keep things a little bit more simple? I don't know about you, but like, let's stop over complicating everything in life and business. So to me, this is a very powerful shift and I appreciate it. Me as a consumer, I have noticed a lot more of those utility type quizzes. And like one that I find so I'm obsessed with my dog. I love my dog. And I want my dog to have the best food ever. And one thing I have noticed is every time I go to explore like what the next food is, you know, like that's best for him, like it's always a quiz. It's like, should you use this? And this is why, and all of the things. So I'm connecting the dots here, right, Josh? Like, that's a utility based, here is your solution type of quiz. And, you know, the second part of the question that I want to talk about is, great, you have them opted in. They see that thank you page. Like, what is the number one thing on that thank you page that's going to get them to actually consider purchase or make purchase?
Yeah, it's the continual adding of value. Like, if you can say some things on that ending screen, the outcome screen, that are so resonant with the person taking your quiz that it just makes sense to them. And they're like, yeah, that does describe my situation. That describes what I want. That describes my dog. That describes my house. That describes my style, whatever it is that the quiz is about. That's how you win people over. So you have to not just ask questions that are simple, but you also have to be able to take that small amount of information, 5 answers to questions that you get on the quiz, and turn it into something that you spit back to the person that is very accurate and relevant to their life situation. If you can do that, then you can start to introduce products or services that are right for them, because you've already won their trust by saying, this is you, this is your situation, this is how you show up in the world. Then you can be like, and here's what I would recommend. That's how it's actually closing deals.
Okay, I love this. Actually, my next question, which we did not plan this, people, you're not going to believe what my next question is right now. It's like, could not be more in alignment with that. So now you're talking about aligning the quiz language with a person's like self-talk is what I would say. How do creators find those words? Like, I mean, we all can do research, or we can go to ChatGPT. We have data, we can do social listening. Like, I mean, to me, if you want an idea, Josh, if you could add that into the quiz platform, that'd be pretty darn powerful.
I wish we could.
I bet you can figure it out. I believe in you.
Maybe. Here's the thing, though. I think that there's a few different sources. One is DMs, because people don't do their self-talk in public. They do it privately. So the stuff that they DM you, ask you personally, they don't want it to be in a comment. They don't want it to be out there that they have this question. That's the fodder for these quizzes. So that's number one. Number two is going to be calls, like actual conversations with customers or potential customers over time. And then number three, which I interviewed the person who made the quizzes for NASA on our platform, and they were able to do this, but generally you're not going to have the budget to do this. They run focus groups. And the reason why I kind of grimace at the idea of being able to put it into our platform is that the pattern that I see there amongst quizzes that are actually the most successful is typically the creator of the quiz has been gathering that voice of customer for 2 to 4 years prior to creating the quiz. And so it comes from like having such a deep understanding of your audience where you can basically just speak in their voice. And I don't know if there's a way to do that without just a lot of practice. It's almost like being, well, not exactly Steph Curry, because nobody's going to be Steph Curry, but like Steph Curry doesn't have to think when he catches the ball at a certain point on the court and shoots it. He just does it because he's done it 4,000 times before. If you've had the same conversation with people 4,000 times, then you know when you ask this question, they're going to answer in this way. It's going to make them feel this set of emotions, and that's going to move them towards this action that is best for them, that you want them to take next because it's in their best interest. It also benefits you as the company. If you can be in that place, that's where it really works. And I don't know if there's a way to shortcut that. My hunch tells me that there's not. And so that's why I think it does have to come from that knowledge base of experience.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So in my head, I use a couple of like AI tools, and it's like load your voice, and you give them a whole bunch of data like calls or focus group data or whatever. So for me, that would be I don't think it would be as perfect as somebody who has been like what you just spoke to right now. But for people who are struggling, who really just don't know, here's all my sales calls. Here's my focus group data. Here's my survey results, like create a voice for my avatar. I think that would be really exciting.
Yeah, that is coming. That will be in the future.
All right.
That awesome. For sure. I think getting it to the point of like perfection, that's still a people thing. But uploading a bunch of conversations and that kind of stuff, absolutely not super crazy to do. And it will be in the product probably sometime next year.
Ooh, I love it. I can't wait to see it. All right. So now let's talk about where quizzes are converting the best. Is it top of funnel or mid funnel right now? Like, what are you seeing to be the most successful?
So the most successful thing, especially that's new, is using them top of funnel through social media. So creating reels and TikToks about not the quiz itself, but about things that are related to the outcomes of the quiz. Like everybody is one of these 4 visibility archetypes. If you know yours, then it's really beneficial to your business. Here's the 4 archetypes. You talk them through and then you say, comment quiz. I'll send you my archetype quiz. You can take the quiz and then the quiz collects leads. It's done through ManyChat and then to interact. Or like everybody, here's 5 symptoms of like a highly sensitive body. And then there's a quiz. Do you have a highly sensitive body? Right? Like those are the examples that are really working the best ever since probably mid last year and then still till now. That's top of funnel. I would consider website to be mid funnel these days. And that always has worked. Like it never has not worked. Like if you have a relevant quiz on your website in a prominent place, you will get more leads out of the traffic that comes to your website. That's not changed. But the other one is new, the social strategy. That's something that just started to pop up middle of last year, and all the most successful customers in terms of like top line numbers are doing that.
So you know what's interesting? This is slightly off topic, but I love sharing valuable information. You said you love to learn. So I was at a conference this week, and there was a speaker that was talking about how no one goes to anyone's websites anymore, comparatively to a few years ago. And when she first said that, I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Like, share more." And I didn't actually connect these 2 dots until recently. Like when you go to Google, like your answer is just answered by Gemini and the links are like secondary. If you're really interested, then you'll go to the link. And then other people who are cloud or ChatGPT and they're searching, and that's how they're finding out their information. So I find this like quite interesting, and I'm not sure if it's an adjustment for the how we're going to market ourselves, or if we're forever going to have like lack of traffic to our websites. I don't know what the future is, but I will say that I am noticing so much more of what you're talking about is the ManyChat, and also just opting into lead funnels and quizzes and everything like that. So for me, it's like that's where I want to put my effort in instead of tinkering around with the website. Is it's social media and it's the podcast. But I just find it really fascinating how the traffic to the websites are now being deferred through AI.
Yeah, and I would say the majority of the conversion content is either podcast or a YouTube channel. That's where like the relationship is being built and people are being convinced to buy. The discovery is happening still on TikTok and Instagram Reels and LinkedIn. That's where people are finding out about you. And then typically they go into a podcast or into a YouTube channel to learn more. And then a website is like just the final point of conversion. Like, oh, I'm ready to go buy now. And that's where they go to the website. You still need it to look nice and be on brand and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that old model that we started with back 2012, 2013, when we were getting started, where it's like everything comes through the website, people find you on Google, they read your blogs, they get familiar with you and then they buy. Not really the case anymore.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned one creator already in our conversation, which I want to make sure everyone goes and checks out. But do you have another creator top of mind that is absolutely crushing what you're talking about right now, which is the Instagram information and then the ManyChat to the quiz conversion? I would love to support some people who are just really crushing it right now.
Yeah. Advice with Erin. I interviewed her the beginning of this year. Her quiz launched the end of last year, and it's a career type quiz. It's really well done. It's like very in depth. But at the time of the interview, which was early this year, she had already added 140,000 people to her email list through the quiz. And I'm sure it's more now. So just a great example. And that's one of the examples I was thinking of with that like years of research thing, because she's got 8 million combined followers and she talks to them constantly through DMs. And so she knew what types of careers actually resonate with people, actually make them feel happy and fulfilled. And she also knew that a lot of people don't feel fulfilled in their career, which is why she made the quiz in the first place. So I think that's a perfect example where it's like yes, on the surface, it's like an Instagram reel that goes to an automation, that goes to a quiz and gets you leads. But actually, it's 3 years of DMs and understanding, hey, everybody seems to be having this same problem, and I could address that problem by helping them find one of 6 career archetypes that's right for them. That would be satisfying to them. That way, instead of them DMing me and, maybe I have time to get back, maybe I don't, or it's just a lot of DMs, everybody can take the quiz and get a full experience. And I think it's like, it shows up on the surface in a way that's like, oh, I could do that. But then you look behind the scenes and you're like, oh yeah, that's a lot of relationship building over many years that made that quiz such a success.
Yeah, I really love that. So people might be sensing this a little bit, but you're a behavioral economist. And I love that that's your background. And I love to see where people end up taking their expertise in real life. And the quizzes is using a lot of clearly what you've studied and what you know. And we've talked about this a little bit, but I think this is really interesting that people don't want answers. They want their answers. And you play off of that emotionally a bit. From a behavioral economist standpoint, is there anything you can add flavor to this conversation?
Yeah, I think that there is so much nuance to how you ask questions, the cadence with which you ask the questions, the variety of the questions that you ask. Everything can be a prompt. And I think back like 10 years ago to when people were getting started with quizzes on the internet and we were helping them. It was so basic. It was just like, well, the idea that I can answer some questions and get an outcome is fascinating. So the quiz does well. Today, each question, you have to think through, how does this question make somebody feel? Does it make them think of something? Does it make them think too hard? Because if they think too hard, that's bad. I want them to think a little bit, but not too much. And each element of it can be broken down in this way, which I think gives a ton of people analysis paralysis. Like 98% of people who start out making a quiz don't finish making their quiz because of all this stuff. But I think that if you stay with it, there's so much to be learned about your audience in the process of making a quiz. And then maybe you come back and make your quiz 3 years from now. That's great. But you're going to learn so much about them in order to be able to understand, I need the questions to be sequenced like this. They should feel like this as they're answering. The results should be framed in this way. They should be like this. There's just so much that goes on there in terms of understanding the nuances of the psychology behind how people think, make decisions, what prompts them to do certain things or not do other things, that I think there's so much to learn on the path to making a great quiz. That's my 2 cents.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a switch over and we're going to talk about the business of Interact, because that's what we talk about on this show. How do we scale our businesses? So you've been doing this for a long time. I think you're on 12 years? Is Interact 12 years?
Yeah, 12 and a half.
Yeah, 12 and a half. Amazing. And, clearly you're running a SaaS subscription business, and there can be the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows of a subscription business. But it is one of my favorite business models because it's recurring revenue. And that feels really good to know that money's going to hit the bank account every month, right? But I think one of the biggest challenges right now of everyone I'm speaking to when it comes to subscription businesses is definitely the churn, where there's so many choices now, and there's so many things that essentially can do the same thing or get to the same goal. We're constantly being asked to buy things. We have to be reminded to use what we already have and all of these things. So share with my audience right now, what is working really well for Interact right now to reduce churn and, make sure that people are completing their quizzes or using the product.
Yeah, I think you teed it up really well with the AI part. Like the AI that specifically is helping you to use the product more successfully. That's a big thing. tailoring the product in ways that really resonate with how people want to be using it and that is intuitive to them so it doesn't feel hard to use, adding new features and functionality that matches what they want to do. I think the biggest thing that you can do to increase revenue and also lower churn is let people use things the way that they want to use it. I think this is a huge problem with business owners in general, is that and I'll put myself in this boat, we have a way that we think things should be done, or the most ideal way. And then you realize your audience doesn't operate like that. And the way they want to use it is completely different. And if you can build it the way they want it, then it increases all your statistics in positive ways, lowers your churn. And you have to do that, especially in a time like this, because people will absolutely go in and cancel their subscription. A few years ago, sure, you could probably get away with some shoddy stuff and people would forget and they're like, whatever, not a big deal. Now, they're not going to. You're charging somebody $20 a month, they're going to call their bank and, get a charge back if they're not using your product and loving it. So I think you have to tailor it to what do people actually want and build that.
So for you, did you do some focus groups yourself, or how did you improve the user experience?
Yeah, we do everything, honestly. We'll have customers record their screen while they're using the product for an hour. We'll do hour-long calls. My team runs about 200 calls every quarter, I would say, sometimes more. And those calls are all just working through problems with customers, understanding where they're getting stuck. And then you gotta not bite off more than you can chew, like just do a little bit at a time to make it easier and make it better. Maybe sometimes you don't even need to change the product. You just need better instructions, whatever it may be. And so, 200 calls every quarter, it's a lot. It's a lot of calls in a year. And then I personally do at least 5 a week. So that's another structure that we have in place. So a lot of actual conversations, live stuff.
Yeah. Become obsessed with your customer, period.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is how you'll be able to achieve that. So the next thing I want to talk about is, you said the most effective way that you've been able to acquire new customers or clients has been referrals. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because I think if somebody tells me to use something and I trust them, I'm like, sure. I don't even really do any research. I'm like, that sounds good. Let's just go ahead and use it. Because it's the shortcut in your brain, right? It's I have so many decisions to make in a day, but there is this app I was interested in getting developed, and I got it quoted, and I was a little surprised with the price point, considering all the vibe coding that's available and everything. And I just decided to hit pause on it. So then a friend of mine launched his own app, and it's awesome. And so I messaged him and I said, hey, how did you build this? Did you really do it yourself? And he's like, it's built on Bubble. And I said, oh my gosh, I tried to go into Bubble and my head about exploded. So did you use a developer for it? And he had said yes. And I'm like, great. Can you share who that is? Because I want to see how it comparatively prices out to what I had been referred to. But that's how I honestly find most of the vendors that I work with. But the only thing from a business ownership standpoint that makes referrals hard is making sure people are referring you, which is out of reach for your direct control. Unless you're running a really formal affiliate program that has a lot of requirements, then, you're working with a business model to acquire new customers that's not 100% in your control. So can you share with me a little bit how that has been your most effective way, but it's not in complete control of you? So what have you done to make it a dependable source of new customers?
Yeah, our industry is funky, where it's, like I said in the beginning, it's a product that seems simple. It is a simple solution. It's also just really, really hard to do, to actually be successful with. And I think because we invest so much in helping our customers to be successful, whether it's on the AI side or through the product or with our team helping people one-on-one, that is the thing that fuels it. Because a lot of people want what we offer. They want a solution that helps customers self-serve. That's essentially what we offer. And who doesn't want that? Like, you're on social media, you're on a website, whatever it is. If your customers can self-serve and they're happy, then that saves you time and makes you more money. So great. But it's about 58 times harder than anybody thinks it's going to be. Like,
is 58 your perfect number that you decided on?
That is my perfect number, because I will tell you that almost every single person, and we currently have 8,000 paying customers. We've had about, 400,000 people sign up for Interact at some point, because we've free plan in the past and probably will in the future too. I would say 399,000 of them come in and they're like, whoa, making a quiz is harder than I thought. And that's their reaction when they sign up for our software, when they sign up for our competitor software, when they sign up for anybody's software that does something like this. It seems so simple when you are the quiz taker. You're like, oh, cool, I click on some buttons and then I get a result. It's not anywhere near simple when you're the quiz creator. And so for us, it's just like we've invested so much in making the process of creating quizzes easier, whether it's automated or with human support, that's what drives the growth. Because when somebody does finally figure it out, it's kind of like your app experience. Like, it's such a breath of fresh air. You're like, oh my gosh, I signed up for 18 quiz apps, 17 of them I just about lost my mind, and their support didn't even respond. Interact reach out to me, and their AI was helpful, and so I was able to actually make it work. That's really what makes our business grow.
Yeah, I love it. And then people share that with their friends, and that's how you get the consistent referrals. So,
all right, Rascals, let me ask you this. How much money have you wasted replacing shoes, sneakers, or even bags that could have lasted way longer if only you'd been taken better care of them? I know for me, running from meetings to kids' activities, life gets messy fast. And that's why I always have Jason Mark Quick Wipes on hand. Jason Mark is trusted care to help you get the most out of what you wear. They're not just about cleaning. They're about protecting what you love while protecting the planet. Their wipes are now 100% plant-based and plastic-free, made from renewable lyocell fibers. They're individually wrapped so you can toss them in your bag, your car, or like me, your kids' backpacks. And it's not just convenience. Jason Mark is part of the worldwide B Corp movement, meeting the highest standards for social and environmental impact. They're EPA Safer Choice certified, so you know the formulas are safe for your family. And their products are USDA, bio-based, and certified biodegradable. That means no harmful junk like PFAS or VOCs. Just high-performance care that keeps your stuff looking fresh while doing right by the planet. Personally, as a busy mom and entrepreneur, Quick Wipes are my favorite. They've saved my sneakers from coffee spills, playground dust, you name it. One wipe and I'm ready to walk into my next meeting looking sharp. So here's the deal. Go to jasonmark.com and use promo code Revenue Rascals at checkout for 25% off your order. One time per customer. Again, that's jasonmark.com, code Revenue Rascals. And remember, this podcast is free thanks to sponsors like Jason Mark. I'm ungating sales strategies people pay me six figures for. So go support them, grab your Quick Wipes or your favorite product, and keep your kicks looking fresh.
All right. So now we're going to talk about early on in your career or your life, like what is something like a skill set or an experience for you that was like, yep, I'm going to be good at business. I've got this.
Yeah. I don't think I was good at this. I definitely was not good at this. But in high school, I started a business fixing used electronics. So before everybody had MacBooks, maybe you'll remember this, the computers used to break a lot. Like PCs used to get viruses and then just be unusable. So I learned...
Should we talk about that for a second? Remember viruses?
Yeah, you remember viruses.
I remember viruses, and I remember playing like Oregon Trail and like something happening and being like, what?
Yeah, viruses
that
were
is
crazy.
a throwback Then I had to go to my house phone and call my mom, and hopefully her, where she was, had a phone to call. So just everybody, all you Gen Zers listening right now, it's what we had to go through.
Yeah, this is our uphill in the snow both ways moment is our computers got viruses.
All right, continue on. Sorry,
So-
that was too fun to not go down that path.
I learned by accident how to solve the virus problem. And so I would buy computers. I would buy them from people who had those incurable viruses on their computers. I would fix it, and then I would resell the computer. And it was a great high margin business. But it was a lot of talking to people. It was a ton of sales. I probably went through about 1,000 laptops in my last 2 years of high school. It was really high volume. Great money. But I had to be talking to adults about buying a computer that I had fixed for $400 or $500, and I'm 17. So I had to get really, really good at sales calls and just like showing up confidently. I had great product and I was selling it at a great price because I was already making a good margin because the person I bought it from thought it was worth $0 because it had a virus on it. I give them something so they win. Then I fix it and then I sell it at a good price. But I'm still selling something at multiple hundreds of dollars when I'm 17. So I had to become very good at sales calls, and I was not prior to that. And so 1,000 reps and got really good at it.
Yeah, I always say it's like no one's born that knows how to sell. Like there's charismatic people. There's people who have a high level of emotional intelligence that maybe perhaps it comes somewhat more natural to them. However, sales is a learned skill. And it takes a lot of no's, a lot of maybes, a lot of ghosting, and a lot of conversations to get really great at it. And I love that story. I hope my kids in high school do something like that.
It was fun. It was honestly a really fun business.
You're like, gosh, I wish there was still viruses.
It was nice. It was also like working on something in the physical world, which is nice.
Yeah. I assume we're somewhat of the same age just by doing some math here. But for me, it's like I have to be grounded in dirt and earth. Like we moved to Park City, Utah for that reason, so that we could literally be outside in the mountain air every single day. We ride horses, we mountain bike, we hike. Like I can't remember the last time I didn't have dirt somewhere on me. And that makes me feel so good. And I think you live in Colorado, so you might be close to the same environment as well.
Same environment. Yeah, we drove out to Park City last year, February, hit some great skiing out there. But yeah, we hit up all the mountain towns. I don't know. We've been to all of them in Colorado at this point. So
yeah, it just makes you feel so good and connect back to the earth, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So, we all have tough moments in our business journey. I mean, I'm thinking like in high school, I had Cocktail Talk. I started a yoga business. And then I'm trying to think what the other one is before I started the business that I have today, right? And I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I start this business and it's going to be, that's it. That's all there is. Like, we're going to rock and roll. And that's not really the case. And even if you are in the business that you're going to have for the rest of your life, there is still the ups and downs and the hardships. So what was one of the toughest moments that you've had building tryinteract.com, just so everybody knows where to go? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the toughest thing wasn't a moment, but it was a time period. Starting like 2020, a lot of things shifted in our market and we lost, I would say, north of 80% of our customers. They went out of business. And so that was really tough because 2018 was when we finally started to grow nicely and like get past like linear growth and start to do exponential growth. And it really like kind of shattered everything when that happened. And on top of that, there was a lot of things that had to be fixed in the business and systems that had to be overhauled. So we weren't necessarily able to like push forward as fast as we wanted to for about 5 years. This year, we got through a lot of the rebuilding of systems, growth is back up again. We're starting to see trajectory similar to back in the 2018, 2019 timeframe. But to hit 5 years of really plateauing, 8 years into running a business, I know there's a lot of companies that have that experience. Like the Amazon story is very similar to that. Like 10 years in, they really shrunk for a few years. And a lot of other business has the same issue, but that was hard. Like to finally feel like you've cracked the code and then it just kind of disappears on you and you got to start it over again. And of course it took us less time, 5 years instead of 8, but still tough.
Yeah, I believe that you haven't taken other people's money either. So this is all customer funded or bootstrapped. So what kept you going? What kept you going saying, I can do this. This is still a great product. People need this. Because I can imagine, or, you must be superhuman if you didn't. There was probably a lot of times you just wanted to throw the towel in.
Yeah, it's the businesses that rely on Interact for their business, like not just for their lead gen, but like their lead gen that turns into their customers, and their quiz is like the entry point to their business. Without it, I'm sure they'd figure something else out, but like they do use it as basically the way they get customers, and thousands of them do, which is kind of crazy for a team. We're only 9 people, like we're a small team, and to support in that way is really meaningful. And also makes it real. Like, I think if we were selling some sort of widget that was like a whatever, nice to have, who cares kind of deal, then I wouldn't have stuck it out. But because you look at it and you're like, wow, all these businesses actually rely on Interact for their leads, for their revenue, for their business, it supports their lives. That's really actually meaningful to me, and that's a reason to keep doing it, even if it's not giving you that same like dopamine hit of like, oh, we're growing the business and we're getting more revenue. It's like, well, yeah, we're still providing a great utility to people, and that's cool.
I love that so much because it's not always the dopamine highs that keep you going. It's like you have to remind yourself that there are people that are using your product or your service that need you to show up. And yeah, that absolutely can drive you keep moving. Okay, so we only have a couple more minutes left. I have 2 questions left. My next one is, what is something traditionally people would say you have to do in business to grow that you strongly disagree with?
I think direct sales, like, you don't have to do it. It's never worked for us. Like I was kind of alluding to with the years of research that it takes for somebody to create a successful quiz. If we try to approach a brand and say, let's think about a quiz for you, the amount of upfront work is so monumental that like, there's really no price we could charge that would make it worthwhile. Like maybe $100,000, but like, nobody wants to pay $100,000 for a quiz. Like it doesn't really make sense. So direct sales doesn't work for us. And I don't think you need to do it to be successful. We've built a nice, healthy, profitable, growing business without it.
Yeah, that definitely is a contrarian thought. I love it though. And I'm glad that it's worked for you. But yeah, you're right. Like no one's going to pay $100,000 for, at least I don't think so, for a customized quiz funnel. So there you go. All right. So my favorite question that I get to ask at the end is, what is the most rascal thing you've ever done in business where you've disrupted, you broke rules, or you innovated in a way that no one else was?
I think just doing this business the way that we did it, we've had so much funding raised against us, which still baffles my mind. Like, I don't get it. Like, we were the first in this market by a long shot, and multiple times a ton of money has been dumped into direct competitors of ours. Like, we were the only one, then someone raised money to try to take market share. And you're like, okay. But I think just choosing to do it this way, be very simple, very focused, just like helping customers reach the outcomes that they're trying to reach and not worrying about anything else is like pretty radical, because nobody has been able to do it for as long as we've done it. We've had people come in, they all go away within like 5-6 years. And that's happened 3 times now. And we're the only ones that have really stayed focused to the point where it's like, yeah, this is what we do. This is how we do it. And we're just going to stay on that and let everything else go how it goes.
Yeah, I love that so much. Simplicity is so powerful, but so hard for people to do. So if you can stay disciplined to simplicity, I think that's the lesson that you're sharing with us right now.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think the entire world is trying to make you not do that. Like every advertisement is like, get this thing, do this thing, add this thing. And simplicity is the opposite of that. Don't add anything. Don't get anything. Don't do anything. Just stay in the lane you're in. As long as you know that lane is helping people, you know, to my point of like a lot of businesses rely on Interact, it's actually helping people. Stay there.
Love it. All right, Josh, where should everybody go to check out the quiz platform and build a quiz?
Yeah, URL is tryinteract.com. It's free to sign up, free to use the AI, free to build quizzes. So you can get everything built, checked out, see how it all works.
Awesome. Anything I forgot to ask you that you want to add in before we close out?
I don't think so. This is a good set of questions. I felt like they really got into the core of how a business like ours operates.
Okay, absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much, Josh. And that's all. We're signing off from Revenue Rascals.
Thanks for listening to Revenue Rascals, where we turn bold ideas into predictable revenue and prove that breaking the rules can still build empires. If you love what you heard, do me a favor. Tap the links in the show notes to support our sponsors. They're the ones keeping this show free so I can keep ungating the 6-figure strategies that help you scale faster, lead smarter, and take more freedom home with you. And hey, if you think you'd make an incredible guest or know someone who's built something worth studying, email me at hello@michelleterpstra.com. And until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay just a little bit rascal.